Hi, I'm Deborah, and I do testing for the product development team here at Gardner's Supply Company. I'm going to give you a quick tour of our test garden. This is where we try out new products that we're developing, like irrigation supplies or containers, organic soils and fertilizers, plant supports. We're always coming out with new products, and we want to make sure they work before we send them out to you. So I'm going to start with showing you our Victory planters. This is a new product for us this year. We tested them last year, but we're continuing the testing this year. They're great planters because they come with this integrated support and this really good self-watering reservoir. At this stage of the plant life, you would soak the soil and then also fill the reservoir so that when the soil dries out, it still has water to draw from. And you want to keep consistent watering, especially with tomatoes when they're starting to flower and fruit, because if they dry out, they'll start to wilt, and that invites diseases, and it keeps the plant healthy to have consistent watering. It's really important. So these are, we've got an eggplant here. These are two tomatoes called Missouri Pink Love Apple. And what is also a nice feature of this planter is that if you have a branch that's sticking out, you can just remove the wire and then stick the plant branch back in there, and then it's ready to go. This is a japonica striped corn variety. That's just for fun, because why not? Maybe you've always wanted to grow corn, but you don't have place in the ground to do it, so here you go. This is called a Get Stuffed tomato. This is hemp, and it's also doing really well. We're thinking it's going to start to bud up soon, so that'll be fun to see. This is a possible new extension to the Victory line. It's a vine trellis, and we're thinking we will launch that next year, and it's growing really nicely with the black-eyed Susan vine. Here we have a squash variety growing in the Victory planter, and that's also doing well. It's very helpful to get squash and cucumbers to be growing vertically because it keeps fungal diseases away from the leaves, and it also makes it easier to harvest. So this will probably continue to grow. And these two tomatoes, this one here and this one here, we've been harvesting off of them for a bit, and that's very early for Vermont, but we started these indoors and we had them under high output lights, so then when the time came after the latest frost date, they were already like mid-season plants, so it's a way to get our harvest going sooner. I also wanted to show you some of the more unusual plants that we're growing just for fun. This is a pink celery, and one of the benefits of starting your own seedlings is that you can find these unusual varieties of things that you wouldn't find at your local nursery. This is a squash, and it's called a center cut squash, and it's from row 7 seeds, and it's got unusual shape, and apparently it's going to get a little bigger than that, and you can cut it right down the center and grill it, and it's supposed to be really good. This over here is the black and tan sesame. Oops, the flower just came out. It has these really pretty light lavender flowers, and this is where sesame seeds come from. Here is a peanut plant, so not very vigorous, not growing very big. Maybe that's just a sign that Vermont is not the place to grow peanuts, but we wanted to try it just for fun. This is a nice little square bed, and it's great for someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of room, but you can grow a nice crop in here. So I planted yellow and red carrots and this purple basil, and this is a Castelluto Genovese tomato, and this Vertex tall tomato cage is a new product for us also. We tested it last year. We're continuing with the testing again this year, and we've gotten really great reports on it from customers and from what we've seen here. This is the same Vertex tall cage, and I wanted to see how it would do with beans. We just did it with tomatoes last year, but it also seems to be a really great bean tower, and it's keeping the vines off, and it's starting to flower soon. I'm looking forward to seeing how the beans do there. And I just wanted to point this out. This is a volunteer tomato. I had a cherry tomato planted here last year, probably dropped the fruit and then the seeds overwintered, and now it's starting to grow. And I asked you guys on Instagram if we should let it live, and 98% of you said yes. So we're keeping this plant here, and I mean, it's going to start fruiting soon in the middle of the mulch gravel pit. So I don't know, we'll see. Plants are funny. This is our regular sized tomato Vertex cage, and we're trying it with cucumbers. I have 3 different varieties of cucumbers, which is probably too many to plant in one spot, but I kind of wanted to see how it would do, and it's doing very nicely. We have some new tomato supports that are coming out in possibly new colors, but we'll let you know how that goes next year. And I wanted to point out this. This is a Buena Mulata spicy hot pepper, and it's just so beautiful. The flowers and the peppers are just gorgeous. These are called Job's Tears, and they make these beads that turn colors when they dry, and they're very ornamental. And I think part of the plant is edible too. And the Native Americans used these beads for trading and also for ornamentation. I wanted to show you this bed real quick. This is a prototype of our cedar last obelisk. It's much taller than the one we sell. We weren't sure if people would want an obelisk this tall, and also not sure how we would ship that out to you. So we went with the obelisk, just not that size. And these are indigo plants. You can make the natural indigo dye from these. You harvest the branches and then you ferment them in warm water, and you can create a natural dye for it. This is our cat scat mat. I had something eating my peas, and I was getting angry about that. So I put our cat scat mat up like a fence, and that seemed to ward them off. Thanks for watching, and I hope to do another update later in the season. Happy gardening.